Good afternoon. I'm draining the transmission fluid out in order to fix my leaky gasket on the pan cover or transmission cover. And that goes a little bit slower because the engine is cold right now. And we got about close to 2 quarts out of there. I'm probably going to get 4 to 5 quarts out, and then it won't drip as much. But the problem I found is when I fixed my cable, for the transmission link to the shifter, not to the shifter, but to the Bowden cable for up and down switching, or to get the kickstart going, I used the Mercedes-Benz gasket. And as you can see with the label, they were shipped out, packed up like this in this bag, and you can see how this gasket now is folding over because it was basically crumbled in there into this package like this. This is how this came from Mercedes-Benz. And this is where the leaks are coming from, basically. And you can see this when you lay this flat out, it has actually taken on the shape like this here. And I also ordered a Miley kit sometime earlier, just to have a spare one in here. And you can see Miley actually sends theirs out on a cardboard piece to keep this flat. And this is the reason why my Mercedes-Benz gasket is leaking in the first place, is because the way they shipped that from Mercedes-Benz here. I also got a Mercedes-Benz filter and a Miley filter. I'm going to take a look at this, and then I'm going to see if I'm going to put the Miley gasket in here and see how that works out compared to this. And then we're going to inspect the actual seal which comes out. All right. So here we got now the pan out, and there's some small pieces in here, little tiny shavings, but they seem to be more of a wood nature rather than metal, because I tried to pick them up with a magnet and they don't stick on the magnet. So it's not metal, no metal shavings in here, just little dirt stuff, this kind of stuff here, which looks like metal, but it isn't. See if we put that on the magnet here, you can see this, it's not magnetic. So we can just clean this out. That might be just some dirt I got in here. This is what the filter looks like it. And as far as I can tell, it was about 6,000 miles ago when I put that in. That should be all right. But this was the part which I showed you, which was leaking. It was seeping around here. And you can see this, the gasket is not fully down. It comes back up. And here you can see this, that this was kind of kinked. This here. And this was basically, it was seeping from underneath through here. And you can see that someone had probably painted this. And of course they got paint on the top here. And with this stuff, this is gonna come off. So this is the Mercedes-Benz gasket I had on there. And this is the area in question. And we can see this and how that kind of got kinked here. And this is this area here on the new one. This is now the big question. Is this gasket, which was in that bag, gonna do the same thing what this gasket did and it's gonna leak? Or if this gasket is gonna work or not gonna work, or if the Miley, which was with the cardboard in there, is gonna be better. That's what I don't know yet. We will find out. First of all, I gotta clean this thing up, and then we will see. I'm gonna put I have the Mercedes-Benz filter here. And this one here was also a Mercedes-Benz filter. You can see this here, same part number. 2770295 and 2770295. You can see this, the metal seems to be a little bit different. And I do not know if the Miley one is really worse or better than these two. The prices are not that big of a difference anymore. I think the filter is now $14, and that gasket was like 18 bucks. And this complete set is like 23 bucks. So you're paying like $10 more when you buy the Mercedes-Benz parts. I will check back in later when we get this thing here cleaned off. So the issue here is twofold. As you can see, I can just scrape this off. And this is paint right from this position up here. You can go around it. You can see this, that someone painted this, and there is paint here on it. And what happens is it will seep when that gets hot. The paint comes blistered, especially around here. This is the corner which was leaking. Let me see if I can zoom in there. See this, how this is on top here damaged? And this is where that started to leak through. The other thing is on the rear, these two ears here, this ear here and this ear here, they're bent outwards. When you look at this here, you can see this. They're not exactly in there. It's difficult to see, but you can see the hole is not level. And I saw this on this one here, which is really bad because the screw actually got stuck in it. Normally these screws go through very easy. But you can see this here. See this? I have to literally turn this in because this was stretched at one point. This here is probably the worst part, and that's where it dripped out. And here you can see the paint again on top of it. So I got to take all of this paint stuff off. There's a bump here. So this is basically what happens when you paint something and you don't know what you're doing. This is what that looks like. That's why the transmission was leaking, and this stuff is going to dissolve in the transmission fluid. This is this here. You can see this out. It's just starting to crumble apart. And I haven't used a clean or anything at this point. All right, more after lunch. So I got this mess now cleaned off here completely, especially on the inside. We got this now all off from the paint. There's a little tiny spot there, but I guess that's going to be all right. And I'm almost certain that this here, since it doesn't have any numbers or anything on it, is completely unmarked, is probably, you can see how the paint actually has come off on the outside. This is an aftermarket pen, which was put on by the previous owner. I don't know when, but some time ago. And what happened now was I had the car parked outside over the winter, and the temperature went down to 5 degrees, and this metal here is gonna shrink, and that kind of broke the paint. And now, even though you can see this in here, you can see the paint splatters which were already in this gasket, so in this pen. So I guess that this came that way when they bought it. And this had the paint basically going all the way around here on top. And of course the fluid is not good for this stuff. And when you heat the paint, like I did here with my heat gun to get this off a little bit on the difficult corners, and I used the spatula, I used the MY class, and I used this here. Took a little while. And then I cleaned this off with isopropyl alcohol, 99%. Now we're gonna blow it out. And this will be only a temporary fix. I'm gonna order a brand new Mercedes-Benz pan where I have the stamp on it that it is a Mercedes-Benz part. And then we're gonna send this here into retirement. And the dissolved paint in this actually is the cause which has clogged up my upshift prolong. That means when you're stepping on the gas at the stoplight, the engine will rev up longer, higher, before it shifts into the next higher gear. I'm shifting right now right at 1800 RPM. It goes right from one gear into the next, second, third, fourth. And no matter what I do with the adjustments on the Bowden cable, I talked to Gary, I think his name is, out in Long Island. He is an expert on the Mercedes-Benz transmissions, and he thinks it is clogged up. And now we actually know why it is clogged up. Is because this paint came loose. And that started with the last winter. I had the first brake chips or paint chips breaking off, getting into the transmission system. And when this gets hot, this paint becomes soft, which was on here. And you can see on how the paint actually has really deteriorated here on the bottom of the pen. So this is the cause. And Gary said to me to take out the valve body and then that top plate, which is in there. There's two filters in there, two small filters, and they're probably clogged up. And it is not so much from the debris or from band residue. It is going to be the paint, which is going to be floating around in there. So we will have to take that transmission apart here at one point or another. And I will give you an update here when I'm done. Okay, so now I got this all prepped, and I got the Mercedes-Benz gasket on here. And we can see this is sitting on here pretty nicely. And these curves here are a little bit the problem. You can see this, it is wobbling here, and it is wobbling not so much over here, but this is a critical part. So we're going to get this on. This is all cleaned out. What you're seeing here is basically paint splatter from the paint process from the manufacturer, which is stuck inside the bottom on the pan itself. Now we got the new filter ready, Mercedes-Benz filter, Mercedes-Benz gasket, and then we're going to order a new pan, a new filter set, and then we will see. I'm going to talk to Gary in Long Island and see what he's going to say, what I should do with the valve body and everything else, since we know now what the cause is for my upshift problem. Okay,